Hello, I had a really fantastic interview on my podcast with Cooper. And one of the things that I liked that he said was that the work that we do with people is just getting them to be aware of their generational patterns, where they get these feelings and thoughts and narratives about themselves. And one of the biggest narratives is about self-love, that actually we are more evolved than our parents and their parents and the parents before. And every generation gets a little bit better. But one of the things that actually was based on the last generation was this idea of self-love was really being selfish. I can remember, you know, in my family of origin, just hearing the elders talk about they didn't want to compliment the kids because they didn't want the kids to get a big head. And that it was this perception of like, if you talked too highly about someone or yourself, that you were big-headed, that you were just thinking way too much about yourself. But the concept of self-love is actually having this incredible relationship with yourself, which is the basis of all of your relationships. So it's so difficult to be in relationship with people that have self-esteem issues. So one of the work of self-love is to actually work through those self-esteem issues so that you can actually be fully present and fully engage in a relationship and have something to give. I just thought that concept was really key to our whole talk about self-love. One of the other things I really loved about my conversation with Cooper was this whole idea about just coming from our own selves before we go into relationship, and to really have a sense of that we're not only trying to heal ourselves in relationship, but we're also going to get way more out of that relationship if we really know ourselves. And I love the idea about the infinity sign, which is like, where are you in that interaction with another person? Are you coming from your past? Are you in your future? Or are you here, right now? And the trick about working on being really, really present in your interactions. And I think one of the things I added was I am a believer in relationships because I believe relationships are really a healing vessel for all of us to learn and grow. And so sometimes we're really attracted to people who are challenging to us, and we're trying to heal that part of ourselves. But Cooper brought out this interesting part, which was like that, yes, they are challenging to us, but there's also the law of attraction. And sometimes if we haven't resolved some of our own past issues, our own past traumas, we're going to just attract those kinds of people to us. And they aren't the most healthiest people for us. And sometimes in relationships, we have to learn that we might be attracting people that don't have the capacity to have that healing bond with us. And so that's something to really think about and discriminate on if you're in relationship with someone who you're really being challenged by, or the relationship is a conflictual or challenging relationship for you. I loved how clear our conversation was about in terms of trigger, that when a person triggers us, it's that we own the trigger, right? We are working on or trying to master that trigger. And that if we really work on that and work on that all the way through, we can get the idea of the part of us that has to work on moving ourselves away from that trigger. And that trigger isn't necessarily that other person, but it's that the way we engage with something that has to do with our own trauma. And that we can be clear of triggers. And I pointed out that, yes, we can be, but at weak moments, the triggers can come back. I thought it was really great to spend a lot of time on what are the self-care practices that help increase your feelings of love for yourself. And I remember after hearing this video, I just thought, like, what if that's the new caption? Like, I fell in love with myself from this podcast and from our own work in psychotherapy or coaching or spiritual work, that you actually get to fall in love with yourself. And if you are your number one, you can just imagine how much more powerful, centered, confident, self-assured, willing to just be present that you can be. So I guess one of the things I want to encourage you about in terms of reflecting on this video is to do the work that you need to do so that you can be in the highest sense of love with yourself and be the highest supporter of yourself in this world and what you're looking to gain in terms of your relationships and your connections to people. So really enjoyed that conversation with Cooper, and I hope you do too.